Welcome, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, to Black World TV, the new black media, your black and intelligent news source. So, family, today's video broadcast is asking the question, why do Italians test positive after symptoms of the coronavirus are long gone? That's correct. Italian newscaster Alessandro Politi was shocked when he tested positive for COVID-19 on March 11th. He and other colleagues were swabbed out of an abundance of caution after a coworker contracted the virus. The 30-year-old had a slight fever and a sore throat, but none of the chest tightness or other nightmare symptoms so many have suffered. Following the Italian Health Institute guidelines for releasing someone from self-isolation, Politi was tested again 2 weeks after his positive swab, but after fever-free and with no symptoms at all, he tested positive once more. The test was carried out a week later, 21 days after his diagnosis, and he still tested positive for the virus. Now, 30 days later, Politi has just tested positive again, calling into question just how long the novel coronavirus stays in someone's symptoms and whether that might play a role in why, despite a month-long draconian lockdown, Italy just can't seem to shake the virus. Politi's case and a study of others involving people with mild or no symptoms who continue to test positive long after the 2-week standard quarantine ended has prompted the northern region of Lombardy to rethink its quarantine guidelines, and there are potentially profound implications for any country, including the United States, searching for a way to end economy-crushing lockdowns. Lombardy, Italy's wealthiest region, is where the outbreak began in this country. It has more than 60,000 of Italy's nearly 160,000 cases and 60% of the country's more than 20,000 deaths. On Saturday, Milan alone logged as many deaths in one day as the entire region around Rome has recorded since the outbreak began on February 25th. Well, starting this week, everyone in the region of Lombardy who tests positive or who displays symptoms and is told to self-isolate in lieu of a swab must now self-isolate for 28 days, twice the CDC and WHO recommendation of 2 weeks. The extra vigilance is especially important as Italy starts to lift restrictions of its nationwide lockdown that started March 10th. Quote, now that we have started thinking about a restart, we must absolutely avoid conditions and situations that can put us in serious crisis again, Galli said. Lombardy Health and Welfare Minister Giulio Galera said at a press conference Sunday that despite criticism for what many feel is an overreaction, the decision to double the quarantine comes from the fact that no one really knows just how long infected people stay positive or how long they are contagious. No reliable antibody tests have been able to even determine if or for how long those who are infected are immune. There are many people who are still testing positive after 14 days, Galera said, adding that there are also a vast number of people who have symptoms but aren't tested at all, but who likely have the virus. If those people self-isolate for only 2 weeks on their own accord, assuming they have COVID-19, and then go out again, they could actually be silent spreaders because they think they're immune. Authorities are especially worried about those in the region's vast underground migrant population, many from China, who, as undocumented workers, have kept even lower profiles during the pandemic. Lombardy has Europe's tightest connection to China after Italy signed on to the new Silk Road project a year ago. Multiple daily flights between Milan and Chinese cities were added in the fall to facilitate lucrative new business deals, which easily explains why Lombardy became the largest epicenter outside of China when the pandemic began in February. Those deals also spawned a network of workers who live under the radar, much like Italy's garment district outside of Florence, which has the country's largest documented and undocumented population of Chinese immigrants. The community has a remarkably low number of confirmed COVID cases, likely because much of Italy's vast Chinese community started locking down in their own communities long before the nation did on March 10th. Many people also returned to China when the outbreak began there before flights were banned. Italy is supposed to start phase 2 of the lockdown on May 3rd, but in Lombardy, anyone who tests positive for COVID-19 between now and then will now have to stay strictly quarantined for the full 28 days to avoid a second wave of the disease. Dr. Galli believes that if asymptomatic infected people or those who shed the virus slowly are contributing to the continued spread of the virus, which has led to the difficulty with which Italy has had in decreasing cases and deaths drastically. Keeping them locked down is the only option. Galli also has helped Lombardy institute more aggressive testing in the area ahead of the lifting of some restrictions. Quote, the data fluctuates based on the number of swabs, but there are at least 10 times more positives out there which continue to spread the virus, Galli said. Over the weekend, more than twice the usual number of tests were carried out in Milan, which has seen a spike in cases in recent days. Giovanni Reza, head of the Italian Superior Health Institute, said that some of that is because families living together and even people in the same condominium are likely infecting each other unknowingly. When one person starts to show symptoms, it is often too late. Transmission has carried on after the lockdown, he said Monday. This means that after the lockdown is lifted, there will still be a trail of lingering cases. There will still be an incubation period for those who don't know they have the disease, who spread it unknowingly. But Reza is convinced that the higher number of cases Italy still logs every day are people who were infected up to 20 or 30 days ago, essentially those who are not shedding the virus quickly. And as such, in 20 days' time, May 3rd, when phase 2 is supposed to begin, the level of confirmed infections should subside, but there could still be more infectious people circulating. He points to a decrease in hospitalizations, people intubated and sent to ICU wards, and faster recoveries as a point of optimism. No doubt about it, there are positive signals that will have to be proven with time, but he cautions. This doesn't mean that we are all free now. This is still phase 1. Politi says he will stay in quarantine as long as it takes to test negative twice, which is what the Italian health system requires for those who have tested positive to leave self-isolation. The alternative for anyone who breaks quarantine is arrest and a 5-year jail term. Quote, I keep having to ask myself if after 30 days or more days I'm still positive with a full viral load, theoretically super contagious, how many are we in Italy like this? Politi wonders. In light of the fact that there have been many positive cases even 40 days after the end of the symptoms, how many are there who are not tested, but after the 14-day quarantine, go around and infect others, or even risk their own lives? That is the in question. So, family, I want to end this broadcast off by saying it's really odd how this virus started off as the Wuhan virus, and people have often referred to it as the Kung Flu virus, the Chinese virus, and any other kind of virus you can name, even though I've called it the Euro-Asian virus in certain circles I've been in. But nonetheless, the American white media apparatus and its evil, evil platforms that they choose to operate on, they have turned this into a black thing. And it's it's quite odd that originally they got upset that Asians were being attacked and being targeted because of this, but they turn around and then do that very same thing to black people. And that shows you the hypocrisy of Americans. And there's only certain ones that we're going to have to deal with, but we're going to have to deal with these people sooner or later. But anyways, we'll see what happens here in the United States. It's going to be interesting if we find out too that people still test positive even after 28 days. We'll see. Time will tell. You heard it here first, though, at Black World TV, the new black media, your black and intelligent news source. We'll see you in the next video broadcast. In the meantime, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you later.